Good afternoon, evening, and morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bald Jake's Ball Takes. I'll be your Bald Jake, and today I got a few ball takes for you. First thing I want to address is in the CFP National Championship, Indiana Hoosiers deserve all the respect in the world. Greatest coaching job of all time in any sport, bar none. Nothing else even similar to it. Also, what I really want to shout out is the refs for letting Fernando Mendoza get absolutely mauled and assaulted in the very beginning of the game and calling no flag. It's pretty cool seeing a quarterback spitting up blood and just, the refs are going to say, let's let it keep going. Nothing wrong with that. Sorry, I just had to get that out. That was ridiculous for me to watch. Now on to NFL news. So first thing I'm going to start out with here is Jesse Minter as the Baltimore Ravens' next head coach. What are you doing? This guy on the surface looks decent. A lot of guys think this is a good hire because his defense has ranked statistically well with the Chargers, and the Chargers had a bad defense before he got there. It wasn't before he got there. It was before Jim Harbaugh got there. This guy's been attached to Jim Harbaugh's hip for 4 out of his 5 years as defensive coordinator. You don't think that has anything to do with it? Like the offensive coordinator for Kyle Shanahan, you hire him thinking he's going to give you Kyle Shanahan's offense. That doesn't mean he can run the program like Kyle Shanahan. That's the type of situation you got going on right there. When I go back and I look at the stats of his teams at Michigan and at the Chargers, one alarming piece of information is just how little pressure they get on the quarterback. I personally think the defensive line is an essential component to having a top-tier defense, and he's never had one that dominant and that capable of getting to the quarterback. It's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but for the talent disparity that there was at Michigan going up against the other Big Ten foes that he was playing at that time, and considering they were up by 50 points in every game, and the opposing teams would have had to have been passing nonstop in those games, how many dropbacks they should have had, how much they should have been able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. They had 45 sacks through 15 games in Michigan's championship run year. To put that into perspective, the University of Oklahoma this year had 55 sacks through 55 sacks through 13 games. Fact check me on that. It's 45 or 55. Either way, 2 less games. I think you get the point I'm making. I don't think he's the one responsible for the success of the defense. He's just tagging along with Jim Harbaugh and riding off his coattails. Not only that, his only year as a defensive coordinator where he wasn't with Jim Harbaugh was with Clark Lee at Vanderbilt when they went 2-10 in 2021, and Clark Lee cleaned house on both sides of the ball. And we know how that's turned out. That ship has gotten righted for pretty much the first time in history. So I just don't see anything from Jesse Minter that says to me, hey, this guy's got a track record for a team like Baltimore, for a team that's ready to go. You don't want an experimental, first-time, unproven guy. He could turn out to be a great head coach, but I don't see any reason to believe that right now. Now, he gets a chance to go prove me wrong. That's the beautiful thing about this world and that sport, is he gets his shot. So that's how I feel about Jesse Minter. Also, with Lamar Jackson and the offense, why not get an offensive-minded guy? Anyways, moving on to the Steelers. I think they did the opposite of what the Ravens just did, and they made an excellent hire in Mike McCarthy just now. They got an offensive-minded head coach who knows ball, has been doing it for a long time, and has a great track record with 2 different teams. The guy averages going 12-5 in a season, and you can say whatever you want about the postseason. Okay, he's only won 1 Super Bowl. Shucks. I guess that's just so much worse than all the other options out there that have won 0 Super Bowls, unless you're John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin. Yeah, I guess that's right, I think they hit that out of the park. Also, that's going to allow them to more than likely retain Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he still doesn't come back, but I think that sweetens the pot for him a lot. Steelers fans might be thinking to themselves, we don't want Rodgers back. Well, I really got to tell you something. There's not a better option for you right now. There's not a better free agent on the market, and there's not a better quarterback in the draft to play for you guys next year than Aaron Rodgers, not to mention their former connection. They'll be able to install a new offense much more quickly, I believe, with that being the paradigm there. Probably the wrong word, but we're moving on. So yeah, I think the Steelers hit it out of the park. I think the Ravens did not. Now, how to stay in the division, going over to the Browns, they are shooting themselves in the kneecaps and in the feet and in the hips. They might even be shooting themselves in the head. Am I allowed to say that? That might demonetize me. Oh, wait, I'm not making money off of this, so I don't care. What are the Browns doing? They've got an interview process that requires their head coach to write an essay and take a personality test. They're so incompetent at making decisions and understanding like just who a dog is and who can bring success to an organization. They don't know what success is, very literally. And so they have their head coaches taking a test to try to figure it out. It's sad. It's so bad. They're paying $300 million combined to Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett. One of those guys is worth it, but he's now 30 years old and on the defensive side of the ball. The other guy is like, at best, your third string. I wouldn't even put him in third string. He's a practice squad quarterback at this point. That's all he deserves. That's all he should be, if even that. He shouldn't be in the league flat out, but I digress. Just thought I'd throw out the Browns real quick. Dysfunctional organization. Another dysfunctional organization is the Jets. What are they doing? How are they going to choose to keep Aaron Glenn as their head coach after he went 3-14? Not just that, but as a defensive back, former coach and player, coached an unbreakable record for the first time in the NFL and getting 0 interceptions on the year when that should be his specialty. Another dysfunctional organization. They're also talking about going and getting Tua Tagovailoa or Kyler Murray or Geno Smith. Like, you might as well throw in Kirk Cousins into that conversation because of the type of dudes you're going after. Maybe if you can get Kyler Murray for like $5 million and you spot him for 1 year and then you draft a quarterback next year. But the problem with that is if he plays worth $5 million, like what he's capable of doing, you're going to screw over your draft position next year and not be able to get a quarterback. So if they do any of that, they're just another dumpster fire of an organization. And I feel bad for them. I do. I don't think they deserve it like the Browns do. The Browns deserve it. The Jets, like, I want to see them be good, honestly. I really do. And I guess their owner doesn't want that. I don't know how else to put it. Now, moving on to another New York team, the New York Giants made the best head coaching hire of the offseason. Not just so far, but period. There's not a better hire than this. Getting John Harbaugh from Baltimore. Absolute slam dunk for the Giants. That guy's going to bring stability. He's going to be there for 5+ years. He's going to get them to the playoffs. They're going to be contending for a Super Bowl. Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better than that if you're the Giants. The disparity between the New York teams is sad. Another New York team, the Buffalo Bills. Sad. It's sad. It really is. Just take a moment. I really like Josh Allen. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. I want to see him win a Super Bowl. I think he deserves that. Although deserves has got nothing to do with what happens in the world these days. But I really want to see it. And it's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon. The Buffalo Bills have apparently had some drama going on in the front office for quite some time now. The culture in the locker room is tight. They got good dudes, but they don't have talented dudes. And that falls on Brandon Beane and potentially a little bit the owner. If you saw that press conference the other day, then you know that owner is not an owner that anyone wants to go coach for or work under. Man, he was throwing Sean McDermott under the bus, saying things that didn't make sense, contradicting himself. It was a rough look for the Bills front office. Brandon Beane got a promotion after Sean McDermott got fired. I've never once seen another example of this happening where a head coach gets fired and then the general manager gets promoted. Weird. Doesn't make any sense. Like maybe Brandon Beane's got some dirt on the owner, or maybe the owner just really hated Sean McDermott. I don't know. There's something fishy going on there. Doesn't add up to me. Doesn't make sense. Poor decision making, and it's going to set them back. They're not going to get a better coach than Sean McDermott, especially now that both Mike McCarthy and John Harbaugh have been hired. They could go get Brian Daboll, and that's the best case scenario for them because Josh Allen was highly effective with Brian Daboll. If they do, though, do they keep Joe Brady around? I'm not sure that Joe Brady's that great. I'm not sure that he's that bad. I really am just like I'm in the middle ground on him. I don't know. But man, it's a tough situation. Hopefully, for their sake, they get Brian Daboll. I don't think there is another option that is as good as that for them, unless they get like Mike Tomlin, maybe. But also, Brandon Beane's gonna have to figure it out and start actually acquiring talent on that roster, other than just James Cook and Josh Allen and some defensive players. So moving on to the next head coaching hire that I got on my list here, Bob Saleh with the Titans. I think it's a good fit. He is very similar in culture, I think, and mindset and scheme to Mike Vrabel. So it's a step back to where they used to be, still a step down from where they were when they had Mike Vrabel. I will always contend that that was the worst firing in the history of sports. Now I would put Sean McDermott right below that at number 2 probably. John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are pretty close also, to be honest, but at least those ones, they had been there for 20 years. It was a little more stale. I understand wanting change after so long. So those I don't hold as bad of in regard, but nonetheless, Bob Saleh is an improvement for the Titans. Massive one? I don't think so. But I think he puts them in territory of getting 10 wins again in the next few years. I think he puts them on the right track, especially if he gets a good offensive coordinator over there. I don't know anything about Halfley and the Dolphins. Sorry if there's any Dolphins fans. I'll have to do some research and look into that one, figure something out about that. So I know he's the DC for the Packers for a few years. The Packers have seemingly had pretty good defense always, so that seems like a good plan to me. Man, the Dolphins are another just sad situation, honestly. And firing Mike McDaniel, another terrible decision. Should not have fired Mike McDaniel. That guy is going to be... I'm sorry. When I was talking about the Bills should go get Mike McDaniel. That's what they need to do. Josh Allen, Mike McDaniel, ooh, baby, they would cook. Along with James, of course. That's it for me right there. Like, that's the one